You'd be forgiven for passing on this weapon after leveling it up. Widespread makes this rough to use, as even though it has rather high damage, you just lose a lot of it to the spread. With Deimos open world that changed and an augment mod got introduced. Weirdly enough, it does not deal with the problem of the weapon but just adds more damage. A lot of it. 240% viral damage. Which is cool because you can make unique combos like viral and corrosive or viral and magnetic depending on who you fight. Spread and steep damage falloff that starts very fast after bullets leave the barrel still make this exclusively a short-range shotgun, but it's quite the strong one. For build, it's your ordinary status build without augment, going for corrosive plus heat or magnetic plus heat to cover your bases and feed that galvanized savvy. In case of using magnetic, it's Ice Storm that's quite neat to use since it adds magazine capacity. I think reload is needed to make this weapon a comfy one. Fire rate eats that magazine way too fast. Lots of multi-shot helps, both galvanized diffusion and lethal torrent. However, if you have means to make critical hits happen, like Arcane Avenger or Darza Kavat or any frames that can do it, using critical damage instead of lethal torrent can give you some juicy results. Weapon does have a kick to it. Primary Deathhead calms it down a little bit, and you can use Exilus mod to remove recoil, but with such short range at which damage falloff starts to kick in, I'm going with projectile flight speed. Punch through would probably be a very good stat to add to this, but without the Riven I do not know how to fit it in. It has a rather high Riven disposition, so it would be worth having a Riven, especially if you like the weapon. And that's the build for this stubby little shotgun. It hits hard, it can also prime enemies and debuff them with rare elemental combos. So it's not just a sidearm that just shoots and that's it, it offers a lot of utility, with that ability to fit together elementals that cannot fit on that many weapons. Personally, I find just reload speed mod to be enough to balance out the magazine size versus reload. By default, it's a bit rough for me. So that's one sort of a drawback of the weapon. But it's not a critical weapon by default, so it's not that hard to fit that reload mod in your build. If we are to be nitpicky about this weapon, Augment adds 240% viral damage, which is a prime mod and a half, meaning that viral is by far the most likely status to hit. Because viral status caps at 10, in theory it would be better to have something like heat damage to be prevalent damage type, but this weapon usually kills long before those things are in question. It also means that hemorrhage is not an option with this build, despite weapon having very high impact damage and lots of status chance. Spread is still rough, and even if falloff wasn't as rough as to leave you with a mere quarter of damage at range, you ain't hitting that many of your pellets beyond maybe 10 meters. A viable way of dealing with this is using void damage from Zata's Whisper. Bonus points if you fit some punch through with that. This does not make Akbronco Prime a new meta breaking weapon, but it's hella fun one to run from time to time. Thank you for watching, subscribe to help the channel grow, and I'll see you in the next one.
Your will was greater. This is good.